Do you believe that Hendon Hooker, Tennessee quarterback, could be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC next year? Shame on some of you because you just scoffed. I heard it. I heard it clear as day. Some of you scoffed. Tennessee can't have nice things. Just because that's the way it has been doesn't mean that's the way it always has to be. I think some of you may be shocked at how good Hendon Hooker was last year. I'm going to read you some numbers. You're going to think I'm making them up. I'm not. What if I told you that Tennessee, barely bowl eligible, Tennessee had their ups and downs, but what if I told you there was a quarterback last year that threw for nearly 3,000 yards, 31 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, had a 68% completion percentage, and also tacked on 50 rushing yards per game, just for the heck of it? You would think, wow, like which New Year's Six team was that guy playing for? That was Hendon Hooker. That was him last year. And so, if we are to believe, and this is not some crazy notion, if we are to believe that in year 2, Tennessee may have their act together, especially offensively, even more so than they did in year 1, and we are to believe that now you've got some synergy and maybe a little bit more continuity, and Hendon Hooker is still at quarterback for you, I don't think it's crazy to think that he could improve on those numbers, and that's not an automatic. This is sort of the poison that a lot of preview magazine culture slips you into. So I want us to be careful. We want to always guard against preview magazine syndrome around here. We don't just assume because you did something good last year and you're returning, you automatically improve by 15%. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, I would be very surprised if he were to put up something better than a 31-3 TD to INT ratio. That's hard to do. I mean, some of the best in the country don't do that. But he doesn't have to necessarily up those statistical numbers to be one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the conference. Now, this is all relative to who else is in the conference. You got Bryce Young. No, I don't think Hendon Hooker is going to be better than Bryce Young. But then you start looking elsewhere. LSU, don't even know who it's going to be. A&M, don't know who it's going to be. Auburn, don't know. Stetson Bennett, presumably at Georgia. I think statistically Hendon Hooker could be a better quarterback than that. We presume it's Anthony Richardson at Florida. Yeah, I think Hendon Hooker can be better than him. Spencer Rattler, there's no reason to know what to expect there yet. It's also got a lot to do with supporting cast. So at the very least, it's reasonable to think that Hendon Hooker could be competitive with or better than Spencer Rattler this year. You see where I'm going here? Start to look around the conference. You got Jefferson up at Arkansas, a very good player. He could also be in this conversation. Jackson Dart, probably the starter at Ole Miss, but has never played a down there yet. So there's a lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position in this conference. So you give me a guy that threw it nearly 3,000 yards last year, 31-3 touchdown to interception ratio, 68% completion, and can run the ball. And he's playing for a guy I trust offensively in Josh Heupel, who enters his second year now. Organizationally, I like where they're at. Yes, absolutely. In fact, this is where you're really going to love it, Colin. I'd be surprised if he wasn't a top 3 statistical quarterback in the SEC this upcoming year. Where am I wrong? Is there any reason to believe he's going to fall off? I don't think so. So now we got questions about Tennessee on the other side of the ball. Corner, we talked about that at great length the other night. But yeah, quarterback, I feel pretty good. And you don't say that about a whole lot of teams in the conference right now, but feel pretty good in knowing where Tennessee is at quarterback.